Well, the topic tonight is what separates the Catholic Church from every other church on planet Earth. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. What separates the Catholic Church from the 30,000+ different churches on planet Earth right now? I hope I got your attention by that one. Let me begin by asking you a question. You leave the class tonight. You drive downtown. You park on Main Street. You get out of your car. You start walking up Main Street. A total stranger walks up to you and says, or asks, "Could I see your driver's license?" Would you show it to that perfect stranger?
No.
No. Okay. You're on Main Street. You park your car. You walk up Main Street. A police officer is walking toward you. And he asks you, "Could I please see your driver's license?" Would you show him your driver's license?
Yes.
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so. How about this? If you had a dispute with someone, who would you listen to? A judge in a courtroom or a newspaper reporter? You're at an OIT basketball game. Who would you believe about the play? The person selling popcorn or a referee on the floor? Who would you trust? What do every one of those have in common? Authority. Authority. We all need to turn to an authoritative source to get definitive answers in our lives. Just think about it. I'll bet you everything in your life that you accept, you've accepted it from an authoritative source. Think about it. You probably believed when your math teacher taught you 1 + 1 = 2, right? You would obey a policeman if he told you to stop your car on the road. And you would probably accept the call made by that referee at that OIT basketball game. These are all examples of authoritative sources where we go to get a definitive answer to one of the many issues in our lives. But that's our lives. What about our faith? Where can we go to get a definitive answer when it comes to our faith? What source can we go to give us the truth and the fullness of the truth? That is the question. That is the essential question that a Christian needs to answer. Where are you going to go to get the truth? We said we want to have faith. We want to have faith in God. Well, where are we going to go to get it? You had better darn well make sure that you're following the correct source of authority when it comes to our faith. What do you think happens if we use a faulty source of authority to learn about our faith? We're going to go all over the place. Our goal is to determine valid sources of authority. And that's what we're going to explore tonight. What authoritative sources can we go to get the truth about our faith? Wouldn't it be great? Let me throw out a hypothetical question. Wouldn't it be great if Christ established a way for us to know with absolute certainty, exactly what He taught 2,000 years ago? Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a way where we can get absolute certainty, no questions, no maybe this, maybe that, absolute certainty what the truth was? That's our goal as Christians, to figure out if Christ gave us a source of authority that we can turn to find the fullness of truth. Well, let's backtrack in history and let's try to figure out what are sources of authority that we can turn to learn about the truth. So let's first start with the absolute foundation of our faith. What do you think is the absolute absolute foundation. Nothing more foundational to learn about our faith. What's that? I've got Jesus, I've got Christ. Who else? This, my friends, is the absolute foundational source of our truth. What makes Christ the absolute foundation of our faith? What gives him credibility?
He was the founder of that.
Okay, he was the founder of the faith. Okay. Okay, he taught about faith. Okay. Okay, he taught about it. But what gives him the credibility? He taught about it. I teach about it too. What gives him credibility?
He's God. He's God.
How do you know he's God?
He died and rose again.
She went to Easter Sunday. What makes Christ God? What makes me not God? Even though I may think at a time, no. What makes him God? We just celebrated on Easter Sunday. He rose from the dead. He died for us, right? But so what? A lot of other people died. What makes Christ unique is he died, but then he rose from the dead. That proves that he is. That proves that he's God. So, this is where truth comes from. It starts from Christ. There's no other starting point. And we know Christ is God. And we know God cannot lie, right? God can't lie. That's not his nature. So God can't lie. So everything that Christ taught is truth. That's what our goal, folks, is to learn what Christ taught. That's our goal. Let me ask you a question. Back when Christ was walking the face of the earth, and if somebody had a question about the faith, who could they go to get a definitive answer? No ifs, ands, or buts, the exact answer. You just go right to Christ. If you wanted a definitive answer, right? You had a question. There's two people debating here. Which one of us is right? If you were at his time, you just go up to him and ask him, and he would say, there it is, right? Done. You got it. Unfortunately, for us, is Christ physically walking the earth today? No. And Christ knew this. So let's examine, what did Christ do to ensure that his teachings be known to us? Christ came and he selected a group of people. Remember the 12? They were fishermen initially, some of them. He chose these 12 men, 12 apostles. And remember what Christ did with those 12 apostles? He didn't teach them how to fish. What did he teach them?
How to think.
He taught them Christ taught the apostles everything that he wanted man and woman to know for the rest of history. So he taught the apostles everything that he wanted us to know. And there's a name given to everything that Christ taught the apostles. It's called the deposit of faith. Have any of you ever heard of that term before? That's everything that Christ taught the apostles. The deposit of faith.